All right, let's dive right in. We're about to unpack a really simple but honestly super powerful idea about what it takes to succeed. It's called the Untied Shoelace Principle. And yeah, it's all about how the tiniest, most overlooked details can literally be the thing that decides if you win or lose.
So let me ask you this. Just think about it for a second. What's the smallest possible thing that can make you fall? The teeniest, most insignificant detail you can think of that has the power to just stop you in your tracks. The answer? Well, it's a lot deeper than you might think.
And that's exactly the big idea we're going to dig into today. It's all about how these tiny little things, the ones we usually just brush off as no big deal, actually have the power to completely derail us. So to really get this, let's start with a super simple everyday example. It'll make perfect sense. Okay, first section, the danger in small things. We're going to see why a single untied shoelace can bring you down. This is a simple physical analogy that I think we can all, immediately get. Okay, picture this. You're getting ready, you're in a hurry, you put on your shoes, right? That's the big job. But you're rushed and you forget one tiny, tiny little detail, tying the lace. I mean, the shoe is the big thing. The lace it's practically nothing in comparison, right? So what happens? You know what happens. You try to run, and what's the result? It's instant, right? Boom, you trip. You fall flat on your face. All that momentum, all that energy, gone. Stopped dead by one little forgotten detail. Doesn't matter how fit you are, how fast you are, that one tiny shoelace brings you down. Every time.
All right, let's try another one just to really drive this point home. The bike stand. If you've ever ridden a motorcycle, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that little piece of metal you just kind of kick up and down without even thinking about it.
And here's the thing, right? You never, ever notice the bike stand until it's not there. We just take these little supports completely for granted. But the one day it's broken, or you forget to put it up, suddenly that tiny ignored thing is a huge problem. It can cause you some real trouble and totally mess up your ride. So you get it, right? The real lesson here isn't actually about shoelaces or bike stands. It's a metaphor for everything. Small things have immense power. Your momentum in your career and your life can be brought to a screeching halt by one tiny little oversight. Real success, it's not just about making the big, flashy moves. It's about having the discipline to pay attention to the details. How you sit, how you listen, how you speak. Trust me, it all matters.
Okay, so let's shift gears. Let's talk about the habit of complaining. This is the perfect mental equivalent of that untied shoelace.
There's this saying, the one who knows how to cry will find many things in the world to make them cry. And wow, is that true? If your default setting is to complain, your brain literally gets good at finding things to complain about. Oh, it's too hot, the bus is late, my coffee's cold. You will always find a reason to cry, to be the victim. So here's a little challenge. The next time you catch yourself doing it, just stop for a second and ask yourself, is this helping me move forward, or is this just my untied shoelace tripping me up again?
And this really breaks it down, right? You've got two mindsets. On one side, you have the complainer. They focus on the problem. Ugh, there's no AC. And that's it. Story over. They're a victim. But then you have the doer. They see the same problem. They're not blind to it, but they focus on action. They act despite the imperfections. They take ownership. One person becomes a victim of their circumstances, and the other becomes the creator of their circumstances. Huge difference.
And look, here's the bottom line, the harsh truth. The complainer never gets rich. I don't just mean money. I mean rich in experience, in success. That habit of crying about things, it's a guarantee you'll never do anything big. It's like an anchor. It keeps you small because all your energy is wasted on finding problems instead of creating solutions.
So if complaining is that untied shoelace, what's the first step to tying it? How do we break that habit? Well, it starts with another seemingly small but incredibly powerful action. Let's talk about why the world belongs to speakers. It's about finding your voice.
Okay, let's make this super personal for a second. Have you ever been in a crowd, maybe a big meeting at work or something, and someone asks a simple yes or no question, and you feel that little bit of fear, that hesitation to even just say yes out loud? I think we've all been there.
And this next point just hits so hard. If you can't say yes or no in a crowd, what impact can you possibly make in this world? I mean, think about that. If we're afraid to speak up on something so simple, so small, how are we ever going to find the courage to stand up for a big idea? How are we going to create any real change? See, the power of your voice is a step-by-step process. First, you just speak. That's step one.
And when you do that, you break the habit of just being a passive bystander in your own life. And step 3, you start to build the muscle for bigger actions. It's like going to the gym. That tiny act of speaking up is the first rep. It's the first knot you tie in that untied shoelace.
Okay, so we've talked about the untied shoelace, about the danger of complaining, about the power of speaking up. Let's tie all of this together now. What's the ultimate principle here? It's that nothing happens, you act.
When you boil it all down, it comes down to one thing. Just one single crucial truth that underpins everything we've talked about. And here it is. Nothing just happens. You have to make it happen. That's it. That's the whole game. Success isn't something that just finds you. Good things don't just fall out of the sky. Life is not a spectator sport. You have to get in there and you have to make things happen.
And that's such a key distinction to make. We talk about becoming successful, right? As if it's some destination you just arrive at one day, but that's not how it works. You don't become successful, you have to make yourself successful. It's an active process. You build it brick by brick, action by action.
And that leads us perfectly into our final and honestly the most important point of all. Because just knowing this stuff isn't enough. We have to turn that knowledge into character.
So what's useless knowledge? Well, it's any great idea you hear in a talk like this, or an amazing insight you get from a book that you do absolutely nothing with. If it doesn't actually get translated into your behavior, into how you act, it's worthless. It's just, mental entertainment. It doesn't actually change anything.
So here's the deal. If what you learn doesn't become a part of who you are, a part of your character, it's basically worthless. The whole point isn't just to collect information. The point is to let it change you, to integrate it so deeply that it changes your automatic responses to things.
And that's where we'll leave it. It all comes back to this one idea. Nothing just happens. You have to make it happen. So tie your shoelaces. Pay attention to those small details. Stop complaining and start doing. Find your voice, because the life you want, the success you want, it's not just going to happen to you. You have to go out and make it happen.